Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I'm so glad that you're here watching or listening. Today, I have a friend that has been on once before, Meredith Mann, known as the Peachy Spoon. Everyone loves the Peachy Spoon. Meredith, thank you for coming back.
Yay, thanks for having me. It's so fun.
Okay, the reason I asked Meredith to come back is because, guys, if you don't know or follow her, first of all, go to your Instagram right now and follow at the Peachy Spoon. She is one of the best follows. You will be a smarter, healthier person immediately. So she's a huge success on Instagram, but she has just released her first book, and I'm going to hold it up for my YouTube viewers. It's called Well Made. And it is not just a cookbook. I was thinking at first, Meredith, that it was just a cookbook. This is like really a course in total nourishment, blood sugar, and all that. Can you just start by telling everyone, first of all, about this book, what inspired? And the reason I'm skipping the what would you choose as your last meal is you did that the last time. So we're going to jump right into this book because I have been marking it up.
Okay, that means so much. Okay, so Well Made, my whole heart behind that is that I think sometimes we just don't know how to nourish our body properly. Like the Lord made us these well-made beings, but we're not necessarily feeding and shutting off our hunger, or we're having those blood sugar crashes and hanger moments. And it's just hard to have a healthy relationship with food if you're always hungry or not feeling good every 2 hours and needing to snack all the time and yada, yada, yada. And that was kind of me. And so I tried to break down some science-backed stuff. And I do feel like a lot of people always say that I explain things well, so it's not too sciencey. I try to break it down like a basic, like this is, what insulin does and what that means and what this symptom might mean. So really try to break down that balancing your blood sugar and all the hunger hormones and that kind of stuff and other things besides just my basic recipes that balance blood sugar and all that. But my heart behind it is just for everybody to have that peaceful relation with food and just know how to nourish your body and feel good. So we don't have to always be overthinking what to cook or what to eat for lunch, or that kind of stuff, just to simplify healthy, because we all have so much on our plate.
Well, this is, to me, for everyone. Your recipes are fabulous. They're things that I could cook everything in here and my husband wouldn't miss a beat. He wouldn't say, where's this or that of your food. It's a very, very, everything's very, everything. And I have not made many yet because I just got it this week. But can you I first want to start, and I just want to show everyone because I love your intro. First of all, I'm going to go over the table of contents. Smoothies. You have how many? 17 smoothies?
Yeah, there's a lot. I love smoothies.
I'm so glad about this because I have one because everything else smoothies, there's a science to it.
Yeah.
Then you've got breakfast and lunch, and then you have dinners and sides. You have sheet pan meals. Then you have quick balanced meals, healthier balanced sweets, flavor party additions, dressings. But at the beginning, you explain very well the importance of a stable blood sugar. And that's something I will admit I need to be better at. And what many of us do, maybe go through Starbucks and get one of those sugary drinks. We are, based upon what I've been reading, we're shooting our blood sugar out the roof, and we're going to deal with the consequences. Can you tell us, should all of us, if we want to start your program and your way of life, should we get a glucose monitor to see our own situation with insulin?
I think there is power in inflammation, in information, and like seeing that, because it can be individual, and it's nice to really see on a chart. They usually come with an app. I have one on right now because I test my recipes just to simplify, so you don't have to do that. But it's like they last for about 2 weeks, so it's not something you do all the time necessarily. But it can be, there is power in knowledge. And so just seeing that, visual of a huge spike from a sugary coffee drink when it's not necessarily something that you would have to do all that. You could just tweak and get, 1 pump of the syrup, or, like there could be little tweaks and like make sure you've had a meal soon before that or something like that. And that would really lessen the blood sugar effect. But in my book too, I cover, it's an all foods fit kind of thing. So how to incorporate like real cake or in anything fun and that kind of stuff. Cause I love the healthier sweets and that kind of stuff, just cause I like to eat sweets every week almost, but there's room for all foods, like all foods fit and can be incorporated into a balanced plate to keep your blood sugar more balanced and stable while you're still having these fun foods and celebrating birthdays and all that kind of stuff. But yes, the glucose monitor, it can be really helpful to see, but yeah, something like a sugary coffee drink, caffeine can spike us too. Just because it's stress spikes our glucose too. So that's kind of like a double whammy with the caffeine and the sugar. And so you're just going to have kind of that shaky, almost an anxiety feeling, or you feel great, but then it'll just be followed by that huge crash where you just feel like tired, lethargic, hangry, like, oh, I need some crackers to bring it back up and that kind of thing. And that's just over time. To be having these spikes and crashes all the time is just super inflammatory. And really, as we age and we inch towards perimenopause and menopause for women, we're just more sensitive to carbs. So it's like we can't really do that coffee drink as well as we could, even 5 or 10 years ago necessarily. Like our bodies just can't handle it as well.
Well, I love, and I bookmarked them. You have a Almond Joy cold brew that looks fabulous, and I know it tastes great. So it has protein. It has the things we need. So there's no guilt. So could we drink this by itself?
Yes, that could be an afternoon pick me up every day, or you could do it with the decaf if you don't want the caffeine or whatever. But yeah, that you can even add. That could be something to incorporate to a meal if you're trying to have a bigger snack, even like have a yogurt with it, or add an extra scoop with collagen or something. And you could make that a little mini meal if you need to, if you're hungry right before dinner or something like that.
Well, I want to ask you. Okay, we're getting into the discussion of blood sugar and hormones, and I saw where you talked about incorporating starches, how to do that in every meal, but just do one. That really hit me because I feel like I'm doing only veggies sometimes, but potatoes and some of the starchier veggies, I don't need more than one of those per meal. Is that correct? You want to sort of give the blueprint for a meal, the way you described.
Yeah. So my balanced meal structure that I've, tested with the glucose monitor and really have found is proven like science backed to keep blood sugar balanced. It's protein, fat, and fiber. And then you just keep all starches or carby foods kind of like a fun +1, or it's just one serving per meal. So like if you were going to have like chicken salad and fruit and crackers, I just wouldn't have like a lot of fruit and crackers. Like I would focus more on the chicken salad and maybe some veggies, something like that. But the crackers and fruit, just try to do a serving-ish all together, if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't do a lot of fruit and a lot of crackers, like maybe half a serving of crackers with the fruit, just to really tweak that starchy, carby foods. But like you said, like potatoes, butternut squash, like those, and fruit, like those are really high quality starches. There's a lot of minerals in those, and those are so good for us. So that's where it's like those totally should be part of your plate, and just try to pair them with a protein. But really, keeping the carbs and the starches to one serving per meal. And you can also skip when you want, like you could skip at dinner. You could do a low carb meal here and there. It's fine. You could skip. And, some people like to do 1 starch a day or just 2 starches a day at 2 meals or something. That's fine. But really tweaking and keep those starches to 1 serving per meal really helps stabilize blood sugar. So if you were going to have dessert, I would maybe skip the starch, like skip the potatoes, or something like that. If you were planning to have dessert, and go ahead and just focus on like protein and colorful veggies, and then have your dessert as your starch.
See, that's something you can wrap your brain around, just sort of a blueprint. And you even shared on your, I don't know if it was your story or on your feed. And this kind of stuff is so helpful. Chick-fil-A order, one that's not going to break the bank. I think you said do the sandwich with 1 piece of bread. Well, tell us your Chick-fil-A method, just because I'm like, I can do that. If you want fries, if you want
fries, I would do the grilled nuggets. If you want a sandwich, I would skip the fries. So I love fries, so I would rather do the grilled nugget in the fries. Also, the Cool Wrap's great, but your tortilla would be your starch. So I wouldn't do fries too. Like I would do the kale salad or a side salad. But if you really want fries or fruit, I would do nuggets to keep that starch down.
Okay, so you have such helpful tips. I want to start because, of course, people are probably going to love most about all these recipes, and there's so many. There's over 100. This is a fabulous cookbook, and I want to tell you one. I'm going to tell you a few I've bookmarked, ask you some questions, but what is your husband? I want to ask about your family's favorites. And I saw one that I bookmarked. You said it was E's favorite. It was the chocolate muffins.
Yeah, that's my husband, Eric. That's his favorite.
Oh, Eric.
Reese's. Yeah, he
Okay,
loves
so-
Reese's and all that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's his favorite, the chocolate Reese's muffins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite recipe in this book?
Oh, goodness. I love smoothies, but I can't have the same thing every day. I'm one of those people that likes to change it up. So that's why I like to have so many different flavors, because it's kind of fun to do something different. But I do love melty peanut butter. And I've said this last time, like my Reese's Oats. I mean, that's one of my favorite. Like I love warm chocolate with melted peanut butter on top. So my Reese's protein oats, and there's also oatmeal, which is a lower carb version, or if you can't have grain or oats, it's like a grain-free oatmeal that is really good too. And so that can taste the same. So either of those recipes, yeah.
And then there was one that I bookmarked and it said you was always a favorite with your kids.
Maybe the sloppy joes.
I think that may have been it, but there's so many. Okay, I want to ask you, these easy sheet pan nachos. Oh my goodness, those look fabulous, and as does the fish. If you were going to have company, what are some of the recipes you would choose from your book?
The nachos are a great one. The nachos are easy. Anything like that. I do love my quick slaw because I have different flavor variations. There's like the Mexican, there's the Mexican you could do with like fish tacos, and then there's like the Asian one that you could do with like a slaw or like anything Chinese kind of thing. And all the slaws go great with grilling out. That's the easy side, in the summer to grill out and that kind of stuff. But also, we do a lot of, I feel like when we have people over, I feel like holidays, we're always doing brunch food. So my breakfast casserole is super balanced. I've tweaked to make it, not so high in fat, like other, like your basic breakfast casserole, but nobody notices that it's a little bit more healthy and balanced. But I have flavor variations on that too. So I have a fall one with apples in it, and there's a nutmeg and that kind of stuff. And then there's, one with ham. There's a bunch of different variations on that too. So I like to change up the flavors.
Okay, well, these easy chicken enchiladas, oh my goodness, these look fabulous. I mean, there is no deprivation in this. There's no deprivation. And you're really, a lot of these look like my recipes, but healthier, the way we like to eat. Now, I do want to say one thing that I do think you might want to advise people, a lot of, especially your smoothies and some of your baked goods, you're going to need protein powder. So can you share maybe your favorite protein powder, and then maybe also your favorite protein powder for those who can't tolerate whey?
Yes. Okay. So I love the whey usually tastes the best. Like I do love that Bad Athletics. It's a great one. It tastes really good. It's online.
And I'll link or send people to your site.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one. And then another great one, if you, have a Whole Foods in your town, I love the Ascent. That's a good one. But if you can't, those are both whey. If you can't do dairy or that kind of thing, I like the New Zest. It's plant-based and it only has 3 ingredients. That's why I like it. A lot of the plant-based have a whole lot of added greens and funky ingredients. And so if you did kind of have tummy upset or didn't feel great, it'd be really hard to figure out what ingredients bothering you. So I do like that one because it's like 3 ingredients. The vanilla is my favorite. It tastes great. So that one too. But
I'll
really,
link all these in the show notes, and then
okay, good.
Okay.
And that works in a lot of like the baked goods, like whey and pea proteins, and for the plant-based, those work in the baked goods. But smoothies, you could do even like an egg protein, you could do a beef protein, those are great. But the egg doesn't do well in baked goods because you mess with that egg, like the wet to dry ratio. It turns like all baked goods into like an egg weird texture thing. But I love an egg, like a flavored egg protein for my smoothie. Like I like to kind of change it up.
Well, Meredith, is there such a thing? Because I don't like the taste of mini protein. I mean, I can always taste it if it's flavored. Mm-hmm. Is there a truly flavorless protein? Now, I know the collagens are, but that's not a complete protein.
Correct. And they do, yeah. Even on my Amazon, there's some unflavored whey, there's unflavored plant-based, there's unflavored egg too. So there's a lot of unflavored. And protein powders are optional. I feel like they can be trendy. They're a lot healthier now than they were. It's not like just bodybuilder proteins with all the, like they have gut healthy sweeteners now and that kind of stuff that are natural, like the stevia and monk fruit. But it's totally optional. If smoothies aren't your thing, if that kind of stuff isn't your thing, you can still balance your blood sugar and eat properly. Like, that's totally
Right.
optional. But the unsweetened ones, you could kind of sprinkle on everything. You can kind of sneak those in if you're having, kids that aren't getting enough protein and that kind of thing.
We did have some questions, and I want to know this too. They asked your thoughts on lumen, and can you tell us what that is and what you think about it?
It is neat. It can tell you, it's another thing where it's like there is power in knowledge. I haven't personally used it, but I've had some clients that did. And honestly, I haven't had a lot of clients that loved it. They're like, it was like almost TMI of health. Like it was like, that was a lot. But you blow into this thing and it can tell you if you're burning ketones, like if you're burning fat as a fuel source, or if you're burning carbs, like on glucose all the time. And so that is something I teach my clients, like how to, like the ultimate goal of being healthy is to be metabolically flexible and like being able to shift and be able to switch over and burn stored fat. But that usually comes with like some intermittent fasting and really balancing your blood sugar and taking these breaks between meals. If you're kind of a snacker eating often, you don't need a lumen. You're always burning on carbs. Like you have to like deplete your carbs to switch over to burn fat. So it's not something, so if you don't really know what you're doing and you get it, you're going to be frustrated because you're always going to be running on carbs, if that makes, so, but there is power in knowledge. And if you think that data is very nice to, have that visual of data, then it could be a great tool to use temporarily.
There was also a question, are pressed juices, and I'm assuming you can buy those. And I guess that would also be if you had a cold pressed juicer. Are they beneficial, and what is their effect on blood sugar?
From a blood sugar and fat storing standpoint, I'm not a huge fan. Honestly, like the process, even cold pressed, really juicing anything, you're stripping it of its like God-given natural source. You're stripping it of its fiber. So if you're putting, fruit into a smoothie, you're just blending it. You're still getting all the fiber. When we juice it, we are stripping it of its fiber. So you're like having an apple with all that sugar, but you've taken the fiber away to lessen the blood sugar effect. So you're going to have a higher spike from the juice. So any kind of juice detox, anything like that, you might get diarrhea and feel like you're getting cleansed and cleaned out. But from a fat storing standpoint, your insulin is going to be so high, your fat storing hormone is going to be so high that as soon as you start eating again, you're going to gain even more weight back. So I'm not a huge fan of those unless it's a vegetable juice only. If it's a vegetable juice, there's not going to be any sugar. So blood sugar wise, that would be great. If you love, the green juices but they're not going to taste very good. If you look at any green juice, the second ingredient is pineapple usually. So if you're coming from a blood sugar standpoint, it's not very helpful in healing blood sugar or having balanced blood sugar, or for a fat storing standpoint, because it'll make your insulin high. But, all foods fit. If you love pressed juice, have it as your starch with your meal with some protein first, like have some eggs with your juice, like have that protein first just to lessen the effect. Maybe sip on some vinegar to lessen it even more, like apple cider vinegar sipper with your juice if you really love it. But
now tell me about apple cider vinegar. Tell me about that.
So it just kind of slows vinegar anytime. So even having a vinaigrette, like vinegar on your salad, it slows the gastric dumping in your stomach, which sounds funny, but it makes your food get absorbed into your bloodstream slower. So it kind of slows it down. So it would make your spike not as high. So that could be a tool you could use if you're going to have pizza or dessert or something that's more carb heavy and not very balanced. You could do like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and some water and sip that like 30 to 10 minutes before a meal. And that could make a difference. The vinegar at any meal does that. So if you just I don't love to sip on them. I just don't love like that. I just don't like them, but they do, you could just, if you had a vinaigrette, it does the same thing. So a vinaigrette salad on a night when you're going to have cake would be a great thing.
Oh, okay. Now, what if you're not having salad? Is any like the apple cider vinegar that you would buy at the store, like just even the store brand, or is it the one with the woman on the front? The
Bragg is a good one. Like it has to have the mother, but I think even the Costco brand has the mother. It's like that weird foggy thing in the bottom. Yeah.
I did I don't know if it ever came out on what is the mother, and I had a mother of vinegar in a bowl. It looks, but it's a good thing. It's
a good thing. But one time I was making, my Quick Slaw has it in there, and like it was the bottom, and it's like, oh, the mother went in. It's like the mother was part of the salad.
The mother looks creepy, even though it's creepy. But okay, and back to some of your recipes. I do want to ask you, what do you send to school with your kids? What's a typical meal that you would send to school in the lunchbox?
Yeah, I mean, of course, kids need more than one starch. I mean, they're growing and mine are busy with sports and that kind of stuff. So that keeping starch to one serving is more of an adult kind of thing to balance blood sugar.
Right.
But for children, as long as you're pairing, I feel like, even kids snacks and that kind of thing, they kind of could have like gummies and goldfish and fruit. It's like, they're gonna be starving in another hour. Like they'll have a spike and a crash. So those aren't bad, like kid foods. But if you could pair them with even like some cheese or nuts or something like that, it could help, or turkey roll-ups. But for my kids' lunch, mine are teens, so I feel like my boys eat a lot. So they they love the Built bars. So they have protein bars. They have like a little liquid shake in there with, of course, a sandwich and fruit and chips. But I mean, it's boys and they eat a lot. But I try to make sure to really get that protein in so they're not starving or don't feel good at football practice or whatever they're doing that day. And then my daughter, she likes those like like the meat and cheese kind of things, like that kind of thing. And she likes, all my kids love those Built bars. So it's like kind of a sweet tooth fix and they get more protein in. So I do like those.
So I'll link to the Built bars that you're referring to, because those are mail order, correct?
They are, but sometimes they'll have them at Publix. If you're a local, like Lifetime Cafe, if you're not a member, you can go in their cafe and buy them. Like they have them there. If you want to try a couple before you buy a whole box online.
What's your favorite?
My favorite's double chocolate and cookies and cream. They're very chewy and it's a sweet tooth fix. So if you don't have a sweet tooth and you don't like a chewy candy bar, you won't like them.
Oh, okay.
So they're kind of like they're chewy and sweet, but I love them. I have one every day almost.
Okay. So Built bars, we'll link to your, I think they can get a discount code with your.
Yes.
Link.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's your favorite, like sweet tooth fix. I am a crunchy salty. Mm-hmm. Tell me what, for those of us who we want that crunch, we want salt other than, Skinny Pop.
I love those Mary's Gone crackers. Those are my favorite. I love those just because they're seeded. They have a little bit of healthy fat and some fiber just to lessen the effect. But honestly, that's why I love Wellness Without Obsession. If you love wheat thins, whatever, if you love any kind of cracker, of course, the ingredients aren't perfect and that good for you. If it's your starch in your meal, you have room to store that. Your blood sugar won't spike if you have some protein with it. So just try to keep it around a serving, like whatever the box says a serving is, shoot for that. So like any fun, crunchy thing, if you love chips, like you literally have room to store that in your liver and your muscles without storing new fat, and you can balance your blood sugar with incorporating your favorite crunchy foods. But Mary's crackers are my favorite that I do most days with like chicken salad or tuna or that kind
of. Okay. Now I want to ask you another recipe that looked outstanding, and I can't find what page it's on, is your chili. It looks so good, and it has pumpkin.
It does, as a can of pumpkin, and you can't taste it, but I just love it because it adds so much, nutrients and vitamin A and that kind of stuff that my kids usually wouldn't be eating pumpkin.
You cannot taste the pumpkin.
You can, and it actually makes it thicker. So if you're not like a thick chili fan, maybe add some water or some bone broth or something. But I do. I love a thick soup like that.
I do too. Yeah, I don't want a thin.
But you can't taste it. No, it's fun. And I've had a lot of people message me like, since I've tested all these for blood sugar balance, which is kind of freeing for those moms who have like type 1 kids, type 1 diabetic kids and that kind of thing. Like I'll get messages where it's like, it's so nice to be able to, cook chili and I don't have to worry about giving them a shot in the middle of the night. Like it's perfectly stable. Yeah.
That is a beautiful chili. That's beautiful. I mean, that's exactly how and you have beans, and I'm making this week.
Oh, good. Yeah, there's beans, but there's just one can. I've tweaked to keep it a little bit more blood sugar balancing on the beans, but there's beans in there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. It looks okay. And I just want to say this, you don't have to love cooking. You've got recipes that are a little more involved for those of us who love, pulling out a lot, but then you've got easier recipes as well. Okay. Your sloppy joes look great. Your easy pizzas, these turkey meatloaf muffins. Look at that.
Yes. And those are great meal prep. We even like to eat those cold. So, I mean, that's a great thing to make extra, and it could be, have a couple for lunch or something like that, or a meatloaf sandwich or something. Those can be great. But yeah, I'm very simple. I'm in a season of life, like I said, like my kids with activities and teenagers and all that, the recipes are pretty simple. And I also included that quick balanced meal chapter because it's like, how do you just, like MacGyver together a balanced meal out of like a frozen turkey burger or eggs, or like, how do I put that together to make it a balanced meal? So you're not really like cooking, you're just heating something up and putting it on a plate.
I'm glad you brought that up. This is one of my favorite chapters. And for those out there watching or listening who you really don't want to cook, but you want to basically get things that are convenience, healthy, but you're telling how to put them together. And
Yeah.
it's chapter 6, quick balanced meals.
But that's even like a baked, I mean, I just cut up an apple and microwaved it with some cinnamon with eggs. But I love a baked apple. Like it feels like you're having dessert or something. But that's a great healthy starch. And cooking our fruit does half the digestion. So if you have, IBS or gut issues, cooking our fruit and vegetables always helps with that. So I try to share tips like that in there too.
Well, like the beef and slaw and well, I don't think that's what that is, but
yeah, that's the eggs on the bottom. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, these are just okay. The frozen burger and this. Oh, okay. Now I loved this one because I always wonder. I'll get cottage cheese and I'll just get saltines and eat it, and I'm like, there's a better way to enjoy this because saltines are, just
yeah, and that works too. But yeah, there's a savory or a sweet way to do it with the cottage cheese. But cottage cheese is a great source of protein if you can digest dairy well. It's so easy. That could be a lunch or.
Well, that's a pretty easy. And then you have cottage cheese, everything but the bagel, hummus, and all these favorite crudités and a healthy cracker. Now that most of us would love this. So yeah, I love
this. Totally doable. Yeah.
Now, can you tell us, okay, you've got protein stuffed potato. That looks fabulous. What are the main things you meal prep? I've seen that you meal prep potatoes. I've started doing that. Mm-hmm. What other things? And do you?
Yeah, I love to do a potato. Yeah, sometimes like I'll do that every few weeks. Like I get sick of them. I don't have right now I don't have potatoes, but I'll want to do it next week. But that's just easy to throw like rotisserie chicken, any kind of protein on. I just think potatoes are such high quality starches and you feel really satisfied after you eat them. So, I'm all about that satisfaction factor too and shutting off your hunger. But really protein's a big one to meal prep. So if you're going to be grilling on a Sunday night, if you're grilling any night, buy an extra pound of meat, buy extra chicken, go ahead and grill some frozen burgers, like do whatever, go ahead and cook that so that there's less thinking and you have like a game plan for your lunch. Or if you have busy evenings, that could be a dinner where you don't have to cook. You could just heat up a bag of rice cauliflower or something to go with it. So just to simplify, protein sometimes takes some prep or some thought. So if you could prep some protein, I think that goes a long way. Some people like to cut up their veggies so that they'll actually grab them. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily do that. Like, I'll eat just a whole raw carrot. I'll just rinse it off and eat a carrot. Like I don't, that kind of thing with a plate just to get some more fiber in. But really protein and potatoes are kind of my favorite meal prep. I mean, of course I have recipes for chicken salad and egg salad. And there's even a high protein pimento cheese that's made with cottage cheese, because usually just regular pimento cheese is kind of more of just a fat source and not a lot of protein. So I do, those are great to meal prep. My lunch recipes sometimes when I have time, like that just really takes the thinking out of some meals during the week. And that's nice when I take the time to do that.
Okay. I did not know you had a pimento and cheese. That's awesome. And
I love pimento cheese.
Oh, I'm going to be making that. Now I do see on your protein toast, your go-to bread is Ezekiel, and that's the one that you keep in the fridge, the sprouted. Mm-hmm. What would you recommend? Because you use a lot of Greek yogurt. So do you always use non-fat, or what's your favorite Greek yogurt for people who are going to make some of your recipes? What's your go-to?
I do. I use a low fat or non-fat usually, but that's because I love peanut butter and nut butter. So I like to add my fat in that way. But a full fat Greek yogurt is super nutritious. I mean, that's very good for you. So that's just a protein and fat together, and you don't really need to add more fat is all it is. So they both work really well. So that's why it's kind of whatever you like individually. But I go for the low fat, non-fat. So I can add, coconut or nuts or nut butter as my fat, just because I love the taste of peanut butter.
Right. So so I'm glad you explained that. So if you are going to get your fat from, and I'm like you, I want to get mine from a nut butter or avocado
or cheese or avocado.
The non-fat or low-fat Greek yogurt, and just use the Greek yogurt for the consistency, not for the protein.
Mm-hmm. It's more of a protein source. So it's really just a matter of tweaking. It's kind of like a learning curve of like tweaking what each food is. But if your protein source has fat, you usually don't need to add a lot more fat to that meal. Like if you're having steak, we don't really need to add a lot of avocado and a bunch of extra fats necessarily. But if we're having like a lean fish or a chicken, well, you need some fat to shut off your hunger properly and nourish your body. So like you need some fat, but it's just kind of a tweak. So if you love full fat dairy, that would just be your fat and your protein for that meal.
Do you and your family drink just nut milk, or do y'all also drink dairy? And I know
I mean, I don't really drink milk. Like I do cheese and I do yogurt and I do cottage cheese, and like half and half, but I don't really drink milk, but I have my kids do. I have 2 kids that love milk And so they do. I try to sometimes buy like Fairlife or the protein, the milk that has a little more protein. There's even a Chobani one that just came out that I've been buying for my daughter for her cereal, just to lessen the blood sugar affected cereals, to have protein in your milk, more protein in your milk, just to make it a little more balanced. Because they still eat, kid cereal. But not really. I do cashew milk, coconut milk, and almond milk. I kind of alternate, like with my smoothies. I just buy whatever. But I love the Silk cashew. I feel like it's real creamy. The unsweetened cashew milk.
Oh, you like the Silk cashew milk? Okay, that's good to know, because I know you know what brands are best. What do you think about oat milk?
I'm not a huge fan. I think surely it's going to be on its way out soon. Like, I think it's real popular right now. The main thing about it is just from a blood sugar standpoint, it's made of oats. So it's a starch. So it's going to be your carb. So if you were going to use that with a smoothie to balance your blood sugar, you shouldn't add any fruit to your smoothie. Like, that should be your carb source. So it definitely spikes blood sugar, even the unsweetened, because it's made of oats. Oats are a starch, like it is a carb. Unlike a cashew or something like that, it's more, a lot of those, the unsweetened cashew and coconut and almond milk, they kind of don't count as anything. It's not much of anything, unless you're getting that, like some of the cashew milks that are like Elmhurst, or some of those where the ingredients are only almonds. Those are great, but it's more of a fat source. So if you're looking at the nutrition facts, it has quite a bit of fat in it, which is great and good for you. I just wouldn't be adding avocado or peanut butter to my smoothie. Like, your milk is your fat source. So it's kind of a matter of looking at the nutrition facts. But the oat milk it's okay. It's really trendy. I don't think it's necessarily healthy. I think it's just popular because it does make things creamy. But if you can have dairy, half and half or heavy cream would make it way more creamy. If you're doing it in your coffee,
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I also want to just go through one other thing. Your lunch. I love that you have, and the ladies will love this rosemary chicken or turkey salad. It looks wonderful. This is one of the things I'm going to make. You do sometimes use a rotisserie, so I'm impressed.
I do. I'm all about easy. I think, sometimes I think with all the, Instagram and info out there, it can get exhausting because you can see something that says rotisserie chickens are bad or whatever, but that can be a really quick protein. And I think we put too much pressure on ourselves for perfection with food. And so if that more than likely is a lot less inflammatory than getting takeout and using the oils at a fast food, or, or any takeout is going to be inflammatory oil. So you just kind of have to choose your battles. And that is just if that makes it easier for you to make chicken salad and have a high protein, healthy lunch, then I'm all about a rotisserie chicken. Like that is great.
I know you did something on the Costco rotisserie chicken. Do you have a favorite? I know there's some things about it that, even though
it's not perfect. Yeah.
But is there one that you think is fairly close to perfect?
I mean, of course, if you can go to Whole Foods or like Sprouts, or the Green Wise one is a little bit better because they're using a higher quality chicken. But I buy, honestly, if I'm doing chicken salad, I buy the Costco one that's in a bag, which looks really gross. It's like chopped up in a bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just cut it up and use it as rotisserie chicken. And you can also put it on a skillet with some oil or spray the pan, and it crisps up. So like that could be like chicken tacos. You can do some taco seasoning and crisp it up. Like, so if that's going to make it easier for you to cook for your family, then just take that, worry away of like, this isn't healthy, yada, yada, yada. But I'm all about a rotisserie chicken. And I do love that one, rosemary, and there's pears in it. So
and there's bacon, pears, sliced almonds, red onions, spicy mustard. This is right up my alley. I mean,
it's real flavorful.
This is going to be made this week, but I do want to ask you, and I know other people maybe who will need to get a few ingredients to make these in the healthiest version. Can you tell me, you said for the cup of avocado mayo or Greek yogurt or some of both, what is the best avocado mayo?
There's Chosen Foods and Primal Kitchen is kind of the two main brands, but they sell those even at Walmart. Like Walmart, Publix, everywhere has those now. The main thing with that, even the Hellmann's that says olive oil on it, if you look at the ingredients, there's olive oil in there, but it's towards the end. Like it's still soybean oil, whatever. Like they kind of trick you with that because the inflammatory oils are just cheaper for the companies to make, but they just get rancid during production, which is very inflammatory for us. So I always try not to use those, at least in my home, because we're getting that at restaurants and that kind of stuff when we don't have control. So I try to buy the avocado oil mayo to make that kind of stuff. But a lot of the times I'll do, like it says, like half avocado mayo and half like non-fat Greek yogurt, just to make it a little bit less fat, so that I could have dark chocolate for dessert with it or something, like add a fat somewhere else if I wanted to, or put some cheese on the sandwich with that.
Okay, well, because since you've got this chicken and that is the rosemary chicken salad, would you recommend Chosen or Primal Kitchen? Because I've researched reviews and there's people that go both ways. So which one do you think has the most flavor or the best flavor?
I think Chosen Foods. I mean, they're both good. The Primal actually even has some other flavored. They have like a chipotle, like they have some other jazzed up ones, and those are good. But for this recipe, I mean, the Chosen Foods is great. It's a high quality. Yeah, it's got just the avocado oil. It's great ingredients. So I would.
Can you really taste that in this? Because you have so many other things going on. I don't even think it's just really holding everything.
I don't think so. And it does taste different. If you're like a Hellman's fan, that's one of those things where it's like, just enjoy your mayonnaise you love. Just don't have it every day, whatever. But there is kind of a taste, it's a little bit of adjustment if you're just totally switched into the avocado mayo. Like it does have a little bit of a different taste. But in this kind of recipe, you can't tell at all. Really, that's just something to bind it together and make it creamy.
Oh, okay. And then one more, and then I know I've kept you probably too long, but this looks fabulous. Easy meatball vegetable soup.
Yes, that's so easy. It's like all frozen stuff. It's like for the frozen turkey meatballs from Publix or Trader Joe's. It's super easy. It's like chop up a bag of potatoes and frozen veggies and throw it in, and it's so good.
I mean, this is a man-pleasing soup.
Meat and potatoes.
Yeah, meat and potatoes. Now, I know the Trader Joe's turkey ones because I buy those. All the meatballs, all the other options, these are, I know, fully cooked. You're saying get fully cooked meatballs, correct? Not raw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Greenwise has a brand too. The Publix Greenwise has some that are super similar. That's kind of the two I usually use. And I just do turkey just to tweak the fat some, but it's still balanced if you did beef. That's where it's kind of freeing. There's, swaps, all foods fit. Like, that's why I love this. I think it's kind of freeing to learn how to nourish your body, balance your blood sugar. Because even, foods that aren't necessarily healthy, like a Stouffer's lasagna, can be balanced. It's no big deal. It still is, as long as you're not having a bunch of dessert with it or something. Yeah. But like a serving is pretty balanced, and we just need to, take that pressure off of perfection and that kind of thing. So I'm totally trying to simplify and have simple recipes, but also that are just really great ingredients.
Right. Okay. Last one before I let you go. This fall pasta salad that's a favorite all year. I'm going to be making this as well. Now, you say chickpea or lentil pasta. Do you have any recommendations? Now, I love the jovial brown rice. Is that in that same category, or is it a little got more starch?
Yeah, blood sugar wise, it's a little more starchy. Rice actually spikes our blood sugar more than just wheat for a lot of the time. So a lot of times if you're just going gluten-free, like gluten-free crackers, they might be spiking your blood sugar more than just a regular cracker, because rice flour or the rice glucose, like syrup, that kind of stuff, it definitely spikes you. So it's not a huge difference. Like, there's still some healthy carbs and that kind of stuff in the chickpea or red lentil pasta. Those are still a starch. They just come with a lot of protein and fiber, more so than the rice pasta is all.
So the chickpea pasta would be Bonza. Is that right? Something like Bonza.
Bonza. And now Barilla has one. I feel like there's more and more like on the shelves now. It used to only be Bonza, but there's a lot.
And for people who are just going to test the waters, would you recommend the chickpea or the lentil, which seems to mimic pasta?
They're really similar. The main thing I would say is don't let like the kids see, or don't let it gross you out. Because I just made it last night with my balanced meal spaghetti or whatever. It's not even in there. That's a new recipe. But when you're boiling it, it kind of leaves a white foam on top. Yeah. Both of them do. I think it's just part of, because it's lentil, they're beans. Like, that's what they are. But once you strain them, like, you can't tell. It's really a great pasta texture, especially in a dish like that with so many flavors and textures. It's really great. So I think either one of those would be a great try. I think the lentil sometimes is orange. So if you're trying to really sneak it, I would do the chickpea to be a normal pasta color.
Right. Okay. Well, Meredith, bravo.
Oh, thank you.
And everyone, buy this. It's fabulous. I just can't put it down. So
thank you.
I will be putting all of this in the show notes. I'll put all the notes all the tips that Meredith shared, all of the brands that she recommended. I'll put the link to your Built bars and anything else that you might have a discount code for. I'll put it all in the show notes. So everyone, please check those out, and then follow at Peachy Spoon. And Meredith, thank you for sharing this with us and for coming back and giving us some more time with you. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jamie. It was so fun. I feel like I'm always just chatting with a friend.